I'm at 2405 Mundale Avenue in Dayton, Ohio, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues mainly. Basically anything that may be of concern to the buyer. We'll be going through the access point here in the front right corner of the basement if you're facing the house. There is a cast iron line that comes down about 10 feet before this, and so we won't be able to inspect that line just because there's no access on that line. And this has a sweep on it, meaning it sweeps it towards the downstream, or it forces you to go out towards the main instead of back into the house. So there's about 10 feet of cast iron on the inside of the pipe, or on the inside of the house, excuse me. There's also a water leak. You can see water pouring out of the ground here if you look real close, and that is basically, you can hear the water running. There's also a little bit coming through the wall here right next to it. That should be documented anyway through the home inspection, but just kind of wanted to show it on the video. But and so we'll go in here. This is moving pretty good though. I guess the good thing would be it's probably flushing the line out. But it is cast iron inside the house for maybe 10 feet. And that cast iron is something that is overall, it's a good material, but it does have an, it does have a lifespan. So a lot of times it rusts pretty heavily throughout the years, just due to its, obviously due to the material. But in this case it looks pretty wide open. I don't see any channeling or anything, but just as a note, cast iron is a lot more susceptible to soft clogs, meaning clogs from like excessive toilet paper or wet wipes. Just because of how rough the pipe edges are, sometimes it'll catch a hold of some toilet paper, similar to like a clog in your toilet, but it happens in the line because of how rough it is. But in this case, it looks like it was pretty wide open from the section we have here. It does look like it's kept shape really well. There's no channeling on the bottom that would, be more susceptible to those things. Then it switches over to clay when it exits the house. That again is normal for the age of house, and you have a little tiny bit of root intrusion there to the right, but nothing of any major concern. So nothing to worry about. I don't think there's a tree in the front yard, but and so you have very little, tiny amounts, barely enough to even mention. Nothing you could do anything about as far as the root intrusion is concerned. And so all this could be taken care of with some with like a chemical treatment. They make a stuff called Rudex. That's kind of the Kleenex to tissue thing. It's the brand name, but they make a bunch of different kinds of root killer. And what it does is you dump it down the line before you go to bed. Now running it while you have this amount of water running wouldn't help, because it's supposed to foam up and then you kind of flush it down the toilet or whatever, and it catches on the roots. And right now there's really nothing that it would even do. Now in this case you can see there is a decent amount of roots here at about 31 feet. This is something that it would getting to the point where if it foams up it would catch on that and kind of help out. But that's still relatively minor, maybe minor to medium. It is not down in the flow line, so it's not obstructing flow, but it is something you do want to pay attention to. It's about 31 feet. You can tell that the line itself has a pretty good pitch to it, being that this camera lens is only about a half an inch off the bottom of the pipe. and still the water level is not really covering the lens very often with all this water running through here. A little more root intrusion here, but so far the only really heavy spot is about 31 feet, and it's not in the flow line. It's weird, there's some toilet paper sitting there. But see, that's a good indication of why you don't only use toilet paper. See how easily that broke up. Now, if it was a wet wipe, and if it got caught like that, it would, it could potentially have more stuff build up around it. Well, it didn't look, that was not an issue or anything on there. That little lip just somehow got wedged in there because of how soft and gooey that toilet paper had gotten. And here we are at the main. So, everything looked good structurally. The only thing there at all was a little bit of root intrusion. The worst spot was at that 31-foot mark. And so, I'm going to recommend that you at least do a chemical treatment, but you probably have about a year. So anytime within the first year, do a chemical treatment just to try to keep those roots at bay. And then about once a year usually is what it calls for, about once a year treatment. And then after about 5 years, I would have the line re-inspected to see if the roots have gotten any worse. But I don't see anything out there that would cause any major root intrusion. But it's just something you do want to pay attention to. Probably 80 to 90% of the lines I inspect with clay lines have some form of root intrusion like this. And so it's not uncommon at all. It's more common than not, obviously, from the 80 to 90% line. But the line itself is wide open. The water's flowing free and clear, as you can see. But yeah, this is the worst part here. It's the worst root ball at all. And then we're at about 31 feet. And but structurally, the line looks really good. I think there's maybe a neighboring tree that must be just the line must be kind of just within the drip edge or the expansion of the branches that's allowing this. But I mean, this line looks really good structurally, especially for its age. And even the cast iron at this point, with all this water going through there, it looks really good and open, and it's holding shape. So we made it all the way back out. And we are back in the reel. So just to sum up what we've already seen, the line looks really good structurally. We just need to do a little bit of maintenance in the future. Nothing major, just a little bit of chemical treatment should do the trick. But the overall shape of the line structurally is really good. So again, just recommend some regular maintenance and then maybe a re-inspection after about 5 years to check on it and make sure that the root intrusion hasn't gotten any worse or that there isn't anything else, and to kind of see if you need to maintain the maintenance schedule, or you could probably stretch it out more than once a year. You could probably do it a lot less than that with the little bit amount of roots that are in the line. But again, overall looked good. So that'll end the inspection at 2405 Mundale Avenue in Dayton, Ohio.